And this video is titled as My Weekend as a Hobbyist Indie Game Dev.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for another devlog for Dolphin, my 2D RPG about a marine biologist built with the Godot engine. It's currently Friday afternoon on February the 24th, and although Friday afternoon is typically not a time when I sit down to work on Dolphin, I did want to hang out for a few minutes and give y'all a quick update on what's been going on with the channel and why I haven't posted in a month. The short version is that I've picked up kind of a new role at work that has some new responsibilities to go along with it, and although that is a ton of fun, it's also a huge extra time commitment. I quickly realized that if I was going to try to keep up with my already questionable pace posting videos, I would definitely hit the burnout mark soon. To work around that, I had to reclaim some time from somewhere, and I ended up picking between either working on Dolphin or working on the videos that you see on this channel. And unsurprisingly, I chose to take that time away from video production. The obvious good news there is that development on Dolphin.
You can kind of say that he's enjoying both. Like, he was smiling, laughing when he was talking about his work and his passion.
That has continued smoothly from the start of this year. The fishing system, which I've been working on for a very long time, is pretty much wrapped up, and I've even had time to go back and tackle some pretty large technical debt that I had from the Godot 4 upgrade. So what about going forward, especially if work's going to stay busy? Given that this role is still pretty new to me, I honestly think the more time I spend here, the more comfortable I'll get, and I'll be able to kind of get back into my normal groove of video production and just my normal schedule again. On the other hand, I think one of the main reasons I've been able to continue building Dolphin for 3 years alongside a full-time job is that I've been able to effectively identify when I need to pump the brakes, and I've not been afraid to do it. That's certainly what I've had to do since the start of this year, and that might continue into the near future as well. The good news is that Dolphin will remain in development throughout, and despite the pace, the devlogs will keep coming. Speaking of devlogs, it is about time to start this one. I'm excited to bring you along with me this weekend as we hopefully forge ahead making some much needed user interface improvements to Dolphin. But before we do that, I want to quickly get you caught up on all the stuff I've been working on for the past month. First and foremost, we have the fishing system, which I was very close to wrapping up at the end of the last devlog, but we needed a bit more polish when the player actually catches the fish. So to demonstrate that, we will cast out here towards the grouper, hook him up, and once we reel him all the way in, we'll see a few different things happening. We'll first get a message if we leveled up our fishing skill by getting enough experience from catching the fish, and then we'll get a second message asking us if we want to keep or release this fish. This is an improvement in itself because I did not have message queuing enabled at all in my dialogue system, but now we can have multiple messages come one after the other. At this point, if we want to keep or release, we have the choice. So if we keep, the fish will go into our inventory, and if we release, we just chuck them back in the water. I know that seems like a pretty small update, but in reality, it's actually a pretty huge milestone for me. I've been working for months on this totally custom fishing system where you can build your own setup, use it to target certain types of fish, and finally catch them in and either keep them or release them. So it's great to have this vertical slice done. The other important change I want to call out is that we are once again on a brand new version of our tutorial island here, and that is actually for a very good reason this time. I've put a big chunk of effort in the past month into overhauling the way that I set up these islands that the player can explore in Dolphin. We're looking at my older version of the tutorial island here. You can see that I have a bunch of stacked tile maps over here in the hierarchy, and the whole point of that was to allow me to more easily communicate to the player what type of terrain they were walking on so that they can do things like place footprints in the sand or change their appearance when they wade out into the water. Thanks to some new tooling in Godot 4, I'm able to vastly simplify the way I lay out these islands. You can see here on my new one, I only have one tile map, and the reason for that is that I no longer associate terrain data with the tile maps themselves, but rather I can embed that data into each individual tile that's part of a tile set that I use to build the tile map. Now this is the point in the devlog where I would usually dive into that code for arguably a bit longer than necessary to show you exactly how everything works in case you want to bring that into your project. Two of the main goals I have with my channel this year are to make devlogs more interesting while also introducing a kind of greater variety of content on the channel, and I think there's a way I can do both of these things with a pretty low level of effort on my end. I definitely want some feedback on this, but my plan for now is to take the particularly long technical explanations that I go into in these devlogs and break them out into their own video series called Dolphin Deep Dives. Those videos will be great if, like me, you are working on a game in the Godot engine and want to see how I tackle certain problems with a deeper dive into code. On the other hand, if you enjoy these devlogs just to keep up with Dolphin or to find some motivation for your own personal project, you'll be left with hopefully a much more streamlined video. In And don't worry, this isn't going to mark the end of all technical content from my devlogs. This is really just going to be breaking out those particularly long kind of tutorial-esque segments that can drone on for a while. So I'm really excited about this series, and I'm happy to announce that the first episode of Dolphin Deep Dives is live already. It goes into how I am associating data with individual tiles in my tile set and how I read those out at runtime. So if that sounds interesting, you can go check that out in the new playlist on the channel. Alright, enough intro at this point. I think you're all caught up, and I am definitely ready to enjoy a relaxing Friday evening before a hopefully productive day starting tomorrow morning.
I like the decoration in his room. Okay, the rest of the video seems to be like a vlog type of video. I'm gonna bypass it.
Nicely. When you actually select an organism, you can see how messed up the detail page here. I think this is just a bit of carryover from the Godot 4 conversion. So a lot of work to do here, but I'm afraid probably work for another day. If I'm being totally honest, just for the sake of the video, I was hoping to give you all some more incremental updates this afternoon, but this is so often how development goes for me. I just get sucked into a task and totally lose track of time. But I guess the good news is we made some good progress. With Sunday evening quickly approaching now, I think it's about time for me to call it quits for the weekend. Looking back from yesterday and today, I think I averaged at least 3 to 4 hours each day working on Dolphin and also working on this video, which, given how busy my weeks have been recently, I consider that a pretty successful weekend. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who supports this channel and Dolphin's development on Patreon. Grammy supporters this month are Jess Sargo, Kyle Van Riper, Mega Hombre, Samuel SVD, and Sergeant Bobby.
I think that was interesting that he had a pet. Oh. Excuse me. He had a pet shrimp. I've never seen that before. Okay. Next.